I think the physical challenges are usually when they're doing rehab because there's pain involved and they're having to move through the painful movements and all that kind of stuff to try to get strength back and try to rehab things. But the mental side can be all day long, the whole rest of the day. You're watching everybody else out there winning games or losing games, and you're like, I need to be with them. I should be out there. I'm not out there. I think that takes a mental toll. And
when somebody's going through something, how do you help that person if you're a friend or a loved one?
Because they're dealing with both physical and the mental challenges around that. I think the physical challenges are usually when they're doing rehab because there's pain involved and they're having to move through the painful movements and all that kind of stuff to try to get strength back and try to rehab things. But the mental side can be all day long, the whole rest of the day. You're watching everybody else out there winning games or losing games, and you're like, I need to be with them. I should be out there. I'm not out there. I think that takes a mental toll, and I'm sure KB, knowing the kind of teammate he is, he wishes he could be out there, right? He's wanting to be out there at every turn, and it makes it that much more frustrating when you have to sit out and you can't be out there trying to play your part in the action, But from a standpoint of those that are around anybody going through that, I think it's really important for the people around whoever's injured to be positive, to stay positive, to provide regular check-ins like, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? And if it's negative, to keep pushing, to keep not pushing back, but to keep redirecting into it's one step at a time. We're getting better every day. You can see this, this and this and this. And also to be able to overarching see this as a positive part of your career, because I'm just trying to tell people that are going through whatever they're going through. You generally look at it like, if I'm not winning, I must be losing. And that's not always true. Sometimes when you're losing, you're winning, but you have to be able to take that and learn from it and grow with it as you're feeling like this is a loss. It may be a loss of a season, or it may be a loss of a movement that you had, but at the same time, it can be growth for your character. It can be growth for who you are in the long run. It may be a loss for a short period of time, but in the long term, it's going to benefit you. So the more you can start to think of even the setbacks as this is a way I'm going to grow and be even stronger down the road. I think that's the key. That's the real power of resilience. And for anybody that's around somebody going through that, it's your job to listen, say, I get it. This is difficult. I'm with you in it. Keep sharing it with me. And how can we keep in mind that overall, like, you're going to be better at the end of all this. You're going to be even stronger at the end of all this.
I feel like I have to ask if you have reached out to KB in the last couple of years. It's not even just this year. He's had a lot of injuries. What you said, nine times on the injured list.
On the injured list.
I'm. You don't have to share in a bunch of details. It's just more about, have you checked in on him in recent days or
not in recent days? I talked to him last year when he was playing at the beginning of the year last year, and he came into Chicago, and I just know how happy he was to be out there, getting back out there with his guys, and. I also know this about KB. KB has a very strong home life. He has a lot of really great people around him, and he loves being with his family and his wife and kids. And I know that is going to benefit him during this period of time. I always worry more about the guys that aren't married, don't have kids, are all in baseball all the time. They don't have that balance around their life. Those are the guys, especially those are a lot of young guys too. And those are the guys that generally need a little bit more support coming around them. I'm not saying somebody like KB or Justin don't, because they have, a wife or family or whatever. But I am saying that you have to pay attention to that. The younger an athlete is, or the more isolated an athlete is toward just that sport or that activity. And then when that gets taken away, those that are around them, even if it's just a rehab person, finding the right rehab person sometimes can be the difference between coming back quick and healthy and stronger and staying rehabbing for a much, much longer time than you want them to be, right? Because that person is what's going in and out of their ear every day. Like, are they being positive? Are they helping them have a quality mindset? Because they're spending a lot of time with them on a daily basis, right? That's why I know the Cubs take great care to make sure that the rehab guys and the guys that are working with these guys are not only helping them on a physical side, but they're trying to help them be positive at the same time and paying attention to that side of it.
Your thoughts on Nico Horner, who was coming off an injury coming into the season, spent the entire offseason basically rehabbing, and he's off to an insane start here in April.
They knew what they were drafting in Nico Horner, right? And I remember talking to him as a young player when he just came over from camp, and he just has his head screwed on very straight. He knows. And I never worry about a guy like Nico figuring things out in the long run and figuring out how he can be the best version of himself. But I can tell you from anybody's standpoint, when they're healthier, they're feeling better. Those guys, like, they're going to be more effective because they don't have that thing lingering in the back of their mind. The more healthy you feel as a player, the less you're thinking about that is distracting you from like actually the movement you want to make out on the field. I remember very clearly as a player being in moments where I just didn't feel 100%. What fans don't realize is there is a lot of players that play a lot of their career less than 100%. Like, they might still even be producing the way that you're expecting them to produce. And there's things. Actually, one of my best years of my career, I had one of the worst injuries I was dealing with. And I think I was taking like these high-powered anti-inflammatories. They were definitely not over the counter. I forget what they were called. But like from the All-Star break on, I was like on these high-powered anti-inflams. And as soon as I got off, I'm telling you, as soon as the season was over, it was the season I hit like over 300 in my career, and maybe 2018. And the Cubs sent me to a hip doctor in Nashville, where I was one of the best like hip doctors, does all the hockey guys, baseball guys and stuff. And he's looking at my hip and he goes, "Yeah, it's not good. Like, you can manage it maybe for the last couple of years of your career as best as you can." And I was like, okay, like, here we go, kind of a thing. And it's just a reminder that man, these guys are beating their bodies up, trying to do the best they can to be at 100%. And sometimes when they're not super effective, they might just not be. They're talking to the training staff, but they might not be saying anything because that can cause a big distraction for the team as well. Like, you don't want to have to go and every day talk to the media about, "Oh, well, how's your hip doing today, Ben?" Well, I didn't want to talk about that. So I was like, what can I take to really like make sure that I can get to the end of the season, and then we'll deal with it, right? And then I'll be limping all off season until I can get to, the next season. So thankfully I got it cleared up over the course of the off season going into 2019, but it certainly is a challenge that most professional athletes deal with. I remember feeling overwhelmed at the major league level, not just from injury, but sometimes early on from just effectiveness. I didn't feel like I was as effective as I could ever be in the minor leagues. And it took me a couple years to really bouncing up and down to really feel confident that, like, okay, now I know this league. Now I know how to hit these major league guys. I've made the adjustments, but it's the biggest jump ever to go from AAA to the big leagues, right? And we just had Matt Shaw get sent down, and that stinks for him. But at the same time, like, it happened to basically all of us, almost all of us. There's very few guys that get called up to the major leagues and never get sent back down. Like, it's not the stats that got you there as much as the resilience and the work ethic. Remember that. So I tell kids that, look, you're not building stats right now. You have to build the resilience and the work ethic right now.